Quitting. Quitting. What is quitting? Giving up. Okay. Stopping doing something that you're already doing. Something I always used to hear when I was a kid. Winners never quit and quitters never win. Okay. But haven't we all had those times throughout the years? You're doing something, you feel like giving up. It's just like that. This is it. I'm done. I can't stand this anymore. Sometimes you just feel like it might be better if I don't even keep going, don't even keep trying. We all have that. But one of the things that I found over the years is I have found that the vast majority of people that give up right before they are successful at something, right? It's why it is that so many people live their lives in mediocrity today. And it's a simple thought process. The people say when the going get tough, the tough get going. And when the going gets tough, quitters actually get out the door, right? And so it's going to get harder. It always gets harder before it gets easier. It's the way of life. It's a fact of life. Anytime you're going to do anything that will become great in any way, shape, or form, it will always get harder before it gets easier. And so sadly, as I said, the vast majority of people end up giving up before they ever really even truly get any modicum of success. And so we think about that. You know, I look at a lot of times in my life. There have been a lot of times in my life where I thought, dang, this is way harder than I thought it would be. Dang, this is way more difficult. Man, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this mess. There are times even now, right? I think to myself every once in a while, you mean I got to hire more people? I got to add more stuff? It's so much easier for me just to do my consulting thing, charge my hourly rate, not do any of the rest of this stuff, and move on. Right? I actually make more money that way, oddly enough. But it's not all about the money. It's not all about me, and that's what I have to reconcile with. It's about something that's bigger than me. It's about other people. Right? And so when I get these thoughts from time to time, and I deal with other people who get these thoughts from time to time, I have to think about, well, what are some of the ways, what are some of the things that we can do that will help us keep from giving up when we want to quit the most? And so one of the biggest challenges, I think, for a lot of quitters today is the fact that they don't have a process. They don't have things that they do. They look at the issues, they look at the problems, they look at the challenges, and the more they look at them, the more they focus on them, the more insurmountable they feel. And so as we do this, we have to sit back and we have to think about, well, what do we need to do? What do we need to do? And so I think there are a handful of things that we should do in order to keep us from giving up when the going gets tough. Number one, I think we should always keep big goals in the back of the mind. But next steps at the forefront. Keep big goals in the back of the mind, but keep the next steps at the forefront. What do I mean by that?
You look for the easier things to do and get them out of the way first.
Yeah, look for the easier things to do, get them out of the way first. That's going to be part of it. What else?
What is attainable?
What's attainable? Yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at, I want our company to be $1 billion company, and all right, now we're looking at 9 zeros, 1 and 9 zeros. That can seem like a big insurmountable thing, right? Okay, it can seem huge, but part of the problem that we have is if we stop keeping the big goals in the back of our mind. That's part of the problem, right? Because we get so caught up in the day-to-day minutia of everything that it is that we do that it's easy for us to forget, why am I doing this in the first place? What's the point? It's easy to think about, man, look at all this junk that I'm going through. Look at all this mess that I'm dealing with. Look at all this trouble that I have, these problems. Look at I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. But then we forget we have a greater purpose and we have a greater plan behind us. There is something that is greater and bigger than we are. And so if we stop keeping those big goals in the back of our mind, we lose track of our purpose in general. But the next step's keeping those at the forefront too. So one of the things I have written down in a lot of places, and it's a simple question, it's 2 words: what's next? Right? What's next? It's something I ask myself all the time. What's next? And if you actually listen to me when I talk to myself, I do talk to myself quite frequently. Some people say it's a sign of crazy. Some people say it's a sign of genius. I'm going with genius just because. But either way, I do talk to myself. And one of the questions I'll ask myself is I'll say, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And I'm constantly thinking this thought process of what's next, meaning what's the next step? What's the next measure that I have to take? What's the next thing that I need to do to generate another step towards my goals? See, moving forward is putting one foot in front of another. It's not, hey, let me just quit and move on. That's not what it is. Moving forward means I'm saying what's next and I'm taking action upon that what's next. So number 1 is I need to keep the big goals in the back of my mind and then look at the next steps in the front of my mind. I would say number 2, this always gets me motivated. Think about quitters you know. Think about quitters you know. Let me ask you this. How many of you guys know somebody who's a quitter? If you don't know somebody who's a quitter, it's probably you. Okay, I'm just saying. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself, as Jasmine says. Right? Yeah. We all know somebody who is a quitter, meaning that they have... one of the most frustrating things for me is I always look at people's potential. I'm always looking at a person's potential. And then you get people that you look at their potential and you miss, man, he's got so much potential. Why is he not living up to this potential? And it's so frustrating because you have this untapped potential. You have these unfulfilled capabilities that people have because of the fact that many people stop before they even get started. The other section of that many people is the people who stop as soon as it gets hard. And then you have a whole nother section of people who will keep going when it gets hard, but they're really going in the wrong direction and they end up quitting because they have no concept, right? And so when we think about that, I like to think about quitters that I know. And I look at and I think about, man, this person was a quitter. Where are they today versus where they could have been if they had kept going? I have so many stories of that over the years. It's just absolutely ludicrous how many stories you're going to see and hear throughout your life when you think about it. I had a little girl that worked for me several years ago. And she had just a tremendous potential. But it started getting hard. Right? And as soon as it started getting hard, she started getting whiny. I don't like whiny. Whiny gets on my nerves. Right? We all got crap we can whine about in life. Okay? Everybody has stuff. Right? You're either gonna make results or you're gonna make excuses, one of the two. And she started making excuses. And what I started noticing from her was she started making more and more excuses. Right? And the more excuses she made, the closer she got to actual quitting. And tried to have conversations with her, tried to motivate, tried to do all kinds of stuff. But every single time it was excuse, right? And so, and I look at this particular individual. This particular individual had all of the makings of a salesperson who could have made $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year pretty easily. Had all the potential for that, but didn't take action. Wasn't taking action on it because it's hard. Oh, what you mean? I got to do things I don't really want to do. I got to do things I don't really feel comfortable with. What? You mean I got to pick up the phone and call somebody I don't know and risk them telling me no? But that might hurt my feelings. Okay, but you got the personality. You got the potential. But she quit. Today she works at Arby's. Arby's. Sit here looking at somebody who had two paths they could have took in life. Well, one could have led to success and blessing, not just for herself, her family, and for others, right? The other one led to not even mediocrity, right? Well below mediocrity at this particular point. And I'm not knocking Arby's. Arby's is a great job if you're 15, 16 years old. McDonald's is a great job if you're 14, 15, 16 years old. It is not, being a cashier at McDonald's is not a job that is a career, okay? Now, if you're doing it for the purposes of owning a McDonald's at some point, hey, great, go all for it. I'm happy for that. But we think about quitters, right? Because we all know them. And so that keeps me motivated. Number 3, I would say take a break and have some fun. Take a break and have some fun. One of my weaknesses is that I, by my very nature, am a workaholic. Okay? I'm a workaholic. A lot of times I don't know when to stop, right? So I could do it all the time. Now, it's a weakness, but part of it being a weakness is the fact that I love what I do. I love creating content. I love teaching. I love leading. I love business. I love all of this stuff. I love it. So there's a lot of times where it's like a good book. You get into a good book and you're reading and reading and reading. You just don't want to stop reading. It's like, I can't put this book down, right? I get the same way about work. But then I start getting stressed out, burnout, start getting issues and challenges and problems and all that kind of stuff. And then from time to time I realize I haven't stopped. I got to stop. I got to take a break. Got to have some fun. Got to do something different. I got to actually watch the Alabama game and not just have it playing in the background, right? While I'm working, You got to do that. And so a lot of times when we get to the point where we want to quit, what happens is we get to that particular point because we're suffering some kind of a burnout, right? And we're burnt out because we're either stressed out, we're burnt out because we're being asked to do things that we really don't know how to do, but oftentimes there are things that we really don't know how to do that we don't ask for help on because we feel a little embarrassed asking for help. Right? And so there's lots of reasons why we can get burnt out and stressed out and all that, and sometimes you just got to stop. And when you stop, by the way, it's not just to stop, it's to stop to relax. Have some fun. It's one of the things that I've mentioned to you guys before, but like my daily routine. I get up at 6 o'clock every morning. Every morning, it doesn't matter. 365 days a year, I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Christmas Day, I might get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and kids get up and wake me up, but I get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so the first thing I do is I write a devotional for the LDA. After that, then after I do the devotional for the LDA, I read 2 devotionals. After I read 2 devotionals, at least 2 devotionals, sometimes I read a little more, get my scripture in and all that kind of stuff. I read articles and study and do some of that kind of stuff. But then when I'm done with that, I stop every day. And I'll play a game on my tablet or my phone or something like that. And I'll play a little video game. And I take that time to relax and just let my brain stop with all of the other mess. Right? And so I've got a couple of little games that I like to play. Now, granted, the games that I like to play are usually strategy games. So oddly enough, I'm still strategizing while I'm playing. But still, it's relaxing for me and fun. Okay? So take a break. Number 4 is, since we already thought about quitters, we also need to think about those who didn't quit. What do I mean by those who didn't quit?
Those who kept going even through the tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those who kept going even through the tough. Think about the successful people that you know in your life. There is no such thing as a successful person that has never had setbacks. There's no such thing as a successful person that's never had problems or challenges. There's no such thing as a successful person who didn't want to quit at some point. Okay? There's no such thing as success without sacrifice. So that being said, a lot of times we have to think about those who didn't quit. You know, the law of sacrifice says you have to give up to go up. Right? And so if we have to give up to go up, and these people that we know that are not quitters, sometimes it's easy to look at them and look at how successful a person appears to be, and we forget what the junk they had to go through to get there was. I get it all the time. People look at me and say, David, man, I wish I was in your spot. You could be in my spot if you went through what I went through. You do what I did, and you can get what I got. Tell you this, it wasn't easy. A lot of times people look at it and think, I had somebody the other day, I got so ticked off. Somebody looked at me and said, man, you are so lucky. It's like you got everything going for you. You don't know me, obviously. You have no idea what I've been through. A lot of my staff knows some of the stuff that I've been through. They've been there. I've been through some mess, ain't I? Just since y'all been here. Some of y'all been here. I've been through some junk. I'm surprised I ain't dead already. Heart attack, 17 strokes. I ain't had, all that kind of mess. But hey, at the end of the day, guess what? I asked myself the question, what's next? And kept doing this. One step at a time. Sometimes it feels like it's that tornado you're walking through. Right? You got a hurricane force winds blowing against you, but you keep putting that one foot in front of another. Because every hurricane ends, every tornado ends, every storm ends. Right? That's it. The question is where are you? And when I think about the other people that I know who didn't quit, I know some people who are very successful, very, very successful people in life, in business, in general. And then I think about how many people look at them and talk about how lucky they are and how fortunate. Luck is an acronym. It stands for laboring under correct knowledge. Okay? The only luck you have in life is the luck in which you make for yourself. Right? That's it. Laboring under correct knowledge. Okay? It's just most people don't see it because it appears to be some phenomenon that actually happens because they don't see all of the junk that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. So, think about that. Number 5, I would say, I want to think more about the process and less about the result. One of the things I had to learn, I'm not naturally systems oriented. But I had to learn to be systems oriented in life. I'm not naturally, not by any stretch of the imagination. I am naturally the fly by the seat of your pants. I used to tell people I had a spiritual gift of BS. I mean, I can pull stuff out of my rear end like nobody's business and make it sound good. Okay? I mean, when I first started speaking and teaching and all that kind of stuff, I didn't even prepare. I would get up on the stage and I would stand there and I would teach and I would speak and it would sound great and man, I mean, it was just flowing, stream of consciousness. It really was pretty good. It was good, but it wasn't great. Right? Things that I didn't start becoming great until I started thinking about the process. Right? And that's what happens in life when we go through. If I think more about the process and less about the result, one of the things that we tend to focus on is, especially in life, we over-focus on results. Well, here's what I'm supposed to be. Here's what I need to be. Here's what I need to be doing. I need to be writing 15 applications a week. I mean 15 apps. You can't control that. You cannot control that. The only thing that you can control is the activities that lead to the result. In other words, you can control the process while you cannot control the result. The result can only be indirectly controlled through your mastery of the process. That's a hard lesson for a lot of us to learn. Because there's a lot of us that'll look at things and we'll say, man, I mean, this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't know. I mean, I'm going to learn cross-stitching, and I should be a cross-stitching master by now because, I watched a YouTube video on it. I mean, I should be like an expert. I should have a 30-foot canvas by now, well, with just completely cross-stitch. I got Jesus and baby Jesus, and I got everything on this thing. I know I hadn't cross-stitched the first thing ever, and I don't really know how to do it other than that YouTube video that I watched. No, I'm just kidding. I really haven't watched cross-stitch videos. But the point is that a lot of times we over-focus on the result, and we forget that every result requires a process. Every result requires a process. And so until we sit down and start breaking down the process into the step-by-step, remember that kind of goes back to what I was talking about what's next. Right? Until we start breaking that process down into what's next, what are my next steps? What do I got to do? If Derwin over here needs to sign up new clients, I may be focused on how many clients he's signing up. But he needs to be focused on the process. Okay? Because if Derwin's gonna sign up new clients into his practice, then what needs to happen? Well, if we work it backward, okay, a new client needs a yes. Right? And a yes needs a presentation. And a presentation needs an appointment. And an appointment needs a phone call. Right? Appointment actually needs a contact before it needs a phone call. Right? So appointment needs a contact needs a phone call needs a name and a phone number. So the process starts with, how do I get names and phone numbers? And then every other step along the way. And the more you load the process, the more likely you are to get the result. Right? But, it's easy to get frustrated and quit. Number 6 is believe in you. Believe in you. Meaning you have to believe in your ability to learn. You have to believe in your ability to grow. You have to believe in your ability to adapt. Every one of us, every person on this planet can learn, can grow, and can adapt in some way. We may all learn differently. We may all grow differently. And we may all adapt differently, but you can do it. And until you recognize and reconcile the fact that you can learn, you can grow, and you can adapt, then you will always be stuck in that thought process of, I'm just me. I hear people say it all the time. I just stink at everything. Really? You stink at everything? Everything.
Positive thinking.
Yeah, that's the power of positive thinking right there. Go read you some Norman Vincent Peale, right? You stink at everything. Well, maybe it's just because you stink. Go take a bath. Wash off some of that negativity and let's get started in real life, okay? But you got to believe in you. Nobody else will believe in you until you believe in you. It's a fact of life. Nobody else will believe in you until you believe in you. Your mama might tell you, I believe in you, baby boy. I believe in you, I believe in you, I believe in you. In all fairness, mamas lie to us too, so, I mean, it would be bad for mama to look at you and say, boy, I think you're a loser. You need to get out and do something. Stop being a quitter. Go out there and be a winner. Quit messing around, boy. Right? No. I don't know. I've heard some mamas that would say that, but, most mamas don't, sometimes you got to smack your kids around with a little bit of reality. Stop. Come on with you. Right? But like I said, I mean, the reality is no one will really believe in you until you believe in you. And nobody can believe in you fully until you believe in you. It's a confidence issue. It's a charisma issue. It's an enthusiasm issue. Okay? There's lots of issues in that. You got to believe in you. Number 7, I would say reflect on what you're not doing well. Reflect on what you're not doing well. I'm going to give you permission to quit on something. Quit doing what ain't working. Quit doing what is not working. That's what you need to quit doing. See, a lot of times, I call this evaluated experience. Evaluated experience. Evaluated experience is, it's going through my experiences of the day. This is what I went through. It's one of the reasons why in my staff meetings I ask, tell me about last week. First question after we pray in, right? Tell me about last week. Why? Because I want to sit down and look at what experiences happened and then evaluate those experiences. Some things you need to do something about, some things you don't. I take notes when I do so. Right? And so that being said, you need to reflect on what you're not doing well. Because if I can figure out what it is that I'm not doing well, then I can figure out what it is that needs to be fixed or what it is that somebody else needs to be doing. I either need to fix it or delegate it, one of the two. And if I can fix it and or delegate it to someone else who is going to do it well, that takes that 1 off my plate, 2 off my stress. I remember a few years back, one of the things that I did, I sat down because, I was stressed. You talking about stressed out? I was stressed out. And I got to thinking about all the junk that I do on a day-to-day basis. I started making a list. These are all the things that I do on a day-to-day basis. And I made that list out and brought it in a staff meeting. And one of the things that I did in staff meetings, I passed the list around and I said, who is willing to take on what on this list? Roughly 90% staff volunteered to take on roughly 90% of what was on that list. So I could focus on the most important things and not the junk that's just urgent. Right? And we have been so much productive as a team since then. It's amazing. But you're talking about being stressed. There's a lot of this stuff that was on my plate and I couldn't do any of it well because it's too much stuff. One person can't do 400 different things. So, what am I not doing well? What do I need to do better? What do I need to delegate? And then what do I need to delete? In other words, what are things that I'm doing in business, at work, in life? What are things that I just shouldn't be doing, period. It's not productive in any way, shape, or form. Number 8 kind of conflicts with number 1 in a sense. It's think more about the goal. And less about each step. Think more about the goal and less about each step. Remember up here I said keep big goals in the back of the mind, but next steps at the forefront. Now I'm saying think more about the goal and less about each step. What do I mean?
Don't forget the big picture.
Okay? Don't forget the big picture, meaning the big picture's got to be in the back of your mind at all times, but sometimes that big picture's got to be in the forefront of your mind too, right? And what happens here is sometimes I get so focused on the what's next that I forget the why, right? And then what I find when I'm doing that is I look at my to-do list and I say, I got 342 things on my what's next list, right? And I forget the why. So I got to keep a proper balance between these two things. I got to always have the goal in there, and I got to always have the what's next in there. But I can't let the goal be so big that I forget the what's next. That makes me a dreamer. And I can't let the what's next get so big that I forget the goal, because that ultimately makes me ineffective. You ever met those dreamers? Ever met those kind of people? The kind of person that constantly talks about all the great things they're going to do in life and they never actually accomplish or achieve anything. And the reason they never actually accomplish or achieve anything is because of the fact that they're always dreaming about it, but they never actually take the steps. Or you get those people that are constantly taking steps, but then they forget that there's supposed to be a vision with those steps. It's interesting. Activity does not necessarily equal accomplishment. Okay. So I got to think more about the goal and less about each step. Number 9, I need to do what gives me energy. Do what gives you energy. Meaning what? What drives you? Okay. What else?
Something that picks you up.
Something that picks you up? Yeah. Something that picks you up when you're forgetting? Absolutely. You know, there's certain things that I do around here that I absolutely love. I get energized every time I do it. Teaching is one of those things, right? I mean, I can be just sat down in the chair. This weekend was long, kind of stank but you know, then I get up and hit the button over here to get started on teaching and all that kind of stuff, and I notice I immediately get more energy. I can be half dead and stand up and start teaching and get more energy. That's amazing. So do what gives you energy. All of us have things that we do on a day-to-day basis. All of us have things that we should be doing anyway that give us some energy. We also have those things that we do that kind of zap our energy. So we got to remember that there's got to be a balance. One of the things I love most about teaching and speaking and all that is I call them the light bulb moments, right? It's the aha moments. It's the moments where you're speaking or you're talking or something and somebody's just sitting there and you can tell they're intently listening, and then all of a sudden that smile kind of comes across their face. It's like I got it. That's addictive, by the way. It's addictive. It's addictive to see that kind of stuff. Or their eyes get a little bigger. You know, or you notice it's somebody that hasn't taken any notes, and the next thing you know, they're scribbling furiously about something. Right? Okay. There's a nugget. That just struck home with somebody. Wow. That's exciting, right? So, but each of us have things. I get excited about helping people. The more I can help people, the better I feel. The more help I can give to people, the better I feel. The more people I can help, the better I feel. I got super stoked this weekend about helping someone who couldn't afford their meds get 4 months worth of medications and didn't cost them a dime. I got stoked about that. I mean, I was talking about excited. We went and we picked up the medication. It's kind of neat. Went and picked up the medication, and I thought, wow, this is an amazing thing. I thought I was going to pay for all of this medication, and I was cool with it. Doesn't matter to me, right? I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, this is going to be awesome. And the owner of the pharmacy blessed not just him, but blessed me in so much as she said, our pharmacy is going to sponsor him for Christmas, so therefore you don't need to pay me for it. We're going to take care of all this. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Pulled away, get ready to get on the interstate. There is a car broken down on the side of the road on the interstate with a little elderly couple in it. Oh, now I see. So I stopped, talked to the couple. Right? They broke down, trying to get to Tuscaloosa. Right? Got to help them out. So we stopped and we helped him out. He said, He said, I owe you for this. He said, you've given me money to get this fixed and all that. Give me your address so I can send you money back when we get home. No, sir, I'm not going to do that. All I'm going to tell you to do is pay it forward to somebody else. Right? Isn't it amazing? It's amazing. Talking about energy. I mean, I floated the entire time. I know my car is fast and all that kind of stuff, but I really floated all the way home. Right? Sometimes I feel like I float anyway, but I floated all the way home. It was exciting. Right? It was exciting. And it was exciting because I was blessed and not having to pay for all that stuff, but then I ended up turning around the money that I was going to and be able to help somebody. 2 people with $1. How about that? Right? That's God math to me. You know? Man, do what gives you energy. The more of that kind of stuff gives you energy. You can't quit when you're doing something like that. You can't quit. When you are energized and all that kind of stuff, you cannot quit. It just ain't going to happen. Number 10, you got to think about how far you've come. You got to think about how far you come. A lot of times people quit when the going gets tough. They quit when it's the hardest, but they forget all the other hard things they've already been through. It's easy to forget. Because right now I'm dealing with a problem. Right now I'm dealing with an issue. But then we forget, well, wait a minute. I've had an issue or a problem of some kind virtually every day of my life beforehand. And every day I have overcome that problem or issue in some way, shape, or form. So therefore, I have to take this opportunity and think about, wait a minute, this is how far I've come. Sometimes I think about that and it blows my mind. I look at where I'm at today, and I look at the capabilities and the things that I'm able to do and the things that I have been able to do and all that. It blows my mind. Because I think about, man, I lived in 14 different houses by the time I was 7 years old. I grew up broke, poor, couldn't eat most of the time, homeless at one point. And yet I get to looking, and from my personal investments, this year alone, I have donated over $114,000. $114,000, and I don't say that to brag. Not by any stretch of the imagination. I say that to say that God has blessed me. There are people out there that won't make $114,000 in years and years and years. Okay? God has blessed me in that aspect to be able to give me the mind to be able to make those kind of decisions, but He has blessed me for the point that I can bless others. And I think about how far I've come, and I think about something I say all the time: be a river, not a reservoir. Be a river, not a reservoir. There's a lot of people want things to flow to them, but they forget the fact that our job is for things to flow through us. See, the people that live beside a river can live off the river, but the river keeps flowing. You get those reservoirs, man, those reservoirs oftentimes stink. That water backs up, starts to stagnate. Even the fish a lot of times don't taste good. Get all stinky. Nah. Think about how far you've come. We've all come a distance. Number 11. Concentrate on what you can change. Concentrate on what you can change. Having a conversation about this same thing with somebody this weekend. There are a lot of things in life that you can't do anything about. A lot of things that you can't do anything about, but there are a lot of things that you can do something about. For example, you can't fix someone else. Only they can fix themselves. You can guide them, lead them, and plant seeds, but you cannot fix them. There are only certain things that you can change. You can change you, for example. If you're not where you want to be in life, then you need to grow. If you're not where you want to be in life, you need to grow. A lot of times people say, especially, I'll get time to time counseling with couples and all that kind of stuff, and you get couples in and this, that, and the other. Here's the deal. You can't fix your wife, and your wife can't fix you. Only you can fix you, and she can fix her. At the end of the day, you can change, and hopefully she will change because of it. Sometimes, though, she decides not to. That's okay, because you can keep growing. Sometimes we grow apart. It happens. But I can't change someone else. I can only change me. Like I said, I can plant seeds. I can lead and guide, but I can't do the change. I say all the time, you can't fix stupid, right? Plenty of stupid people in this world. There's a difference between stupid and ignorant. Ignorant says I don't know better. When I know better, I do better. Okay? Stupid says I know better and still make the same choices anyway. Can't fix stupid. Can't change people like that. Right? So I only focus on the things that I can change. Some things are just out of my control. So I stop trying to control things. Stop trying to control things that I can't control. Control those things that I can control. And do my best to make a positive impact on everyone that I interact with. Do my best to do that. Finally, I would say, you got to realize that your purpose in life has many roots. Has many roots, has many paths. Has many paths, many roots. Your purpose in life has many roots. A lot of times people say, well, David, I know I have a purpose for my life. I have a meaning. I have a calling for my life. I know I have certain things that it is that I'm supposed to do. A lot of times, though, we tend to over-focus on the vocation of that. And we forget that more often than not, our purpose in life is not vocation-based. It's strength-based. Your purpose in life will always be linked to two things. It'll be linked to your strengths, and it'll be linked to your passions. You can be passionate about things that you're not strong at. You can be strong at things that you're not passionate about. I am very strong in math. I can do a lot of math stuff in my head. I have all the Social Security numbers of my kids, my family memorized. I've got all my credit card numbers memorized, all of that kind of stuff. I don't have to think about it, didn't have to think about it, never have had to think about it. You can rattle off numbers and I'll probably remember them 5 years from now for some reason. I don't know how it works. I don't know why I do that, but I'm good at it. Okay? Matter of fact, if you tell me your birthday is March the 23rd of 1985, in my mind I translate that to 32385 and I will remember 32385. Okay? I can do that. But I'm not passionate about math. Otherwise I might be a math teacher. Okay? Numbers just make sense. But that's not my passion. So our purpose in life will be linked to our strengths and our passions. Now, there are things that you may be strong in and you may be passionate about, but is not also your purpose. Matter of fact, I was talking to Shay yesterday about a friend. This dude blows my mind. He is like, when you think about like Alabama sports fan, this dude is like the freak. Okay? I mean, you can name a player and he can give you every stat of this player. I don't care about this stat. I just want to watch the game. I don't care what high school this dude went to. It don't matter to me. I don't care what his throw completion percentage was in 9th grade. I really don't. I really don't care what it is right now. I just want to watch the game. But this dude, and so, but here's the thing. Could that knowledge and passion be used for some good? Could it? Absolutely. Could that in some way, shape, or form, is it possible that in some way, shape, or form that could be linked to his purpose? Is it possible? Yes, it is. Can I guarantee that? No, because your purpose will always have something to do with helping somebody else. Always. So the three rules of thumb in purpose is going to be, it's going to be linked to your strengths, it's going to be linked to your passions, and it's going to help somebody else. So when I think about that, I realize that my purpose has many roots. Look at my spiritual gifts assessment. My spiritual gifts assessment said my 3 top strengths are leadership, discernment, and teaching. Okay. So I coach, counsel, and speak. Purpose. Okay. So, let's look at it. I said number one purpose is going to be linked to what? Strengths. So my 3 strengths are leadership, discernment, and teaching. Right? Okay, cool. Number 2, purpose is attached to what? Passion. Do I like teaching? No, I love it. Okay? Trick question. Right? I love it. I love speaking. Matter of fact, I always have. When I was in high school and in band, played the tenor saxophone, got into jazz band, played jazz saxophone, got into college, played jazz saxophone, played in a jazz band, went around clubs and all that kind of stuff. Clubs are fine. But you get me in front of a big group of people, I always did. The bigger the group, the better. I knew that at a young age. I knew that when I was in 8th grade. They used to call me a ham, right? That's what I tell Jasmine today. You're a ham, right? You shine when you're in front of big groups of people. That's what a ham is, right? Shine when you're in front of big groups of people. The bigger the group, the better I get. Why? Because it's the passion. That's the passion. My drive is to help people. The bigger the group of people, the more people I can help. Cool, right? All right, the third thing purpose was linked to was what? Help somebody else. All right, so if my mission in life is to add value to people who want to add value to other people, am I falling within that purpose? If what I do every day is in some way, shape, or form to add value to somebody who wants to add value to somebody, am I falling within that purpose? Even though sometimes I want to quit, I get frustrated, aggravated, agitated. Sometimes there are times in which I just say, shut this crap down, moving on. Right? I don't need this mess. It's not like I need the money. I don't. But then I think, my 3 rules of thumb for purpose. What I need to do, I need to get some more energy, doing some more of that kind of stuff, and realize that I got several different routes going on for that purpose, and I'm good to go. We all have a purpose. We all have a plan. So a lot of times we have to realize 2 basic things. Number 1 is you have to realize you matter. You matter. Everything you do every day, it matters. Number 2, we got to lighten up. The world's way too serious today. We got to stop focusing on all the negative, focusing on all the issues and all the problems and, what candidate got voted in and all this other mess. Right? We got to stop focusing on all that kind of stuff. Focus on the things that we can control. Focus on getting back to the basics. Focus on having a little bit of fun, helping a few people, and move on. That keeps us motivated, energized, will keep us growing, and will keep us from quitting when the going gets tough. Does that make sense?